Bright star, would I wear steadfast as thou art. This poem written by Jhon Keats. Jhon Keats, his lifetime is 1795 to 1821. He is famous English romantic poet who died at the age of 25. Student of medical, but he never practiced and he chose to write poetry. He is famous for his long poem Endymion in 1818. Due to the early death of his parents and brother, there is melancholic tone or sad tone in his writings. He was assaulted by critics but appreciated by Shelley and William Hazlitt. His beloved is Fanny Brown. There is a reference of this beloved in some of his poems. He suffered due to TB and went to Italy in hope of recovery. He died in Rome on 23rd Feb 1821. Later on, in the 19th century, he got attention of Tennyson and Swinburne, who appreciated him. His important works are Endymion, which is long poem, Bright Star, his last sonnet, 6 odes, Ode to Gratian, Ode to Melancholy, Ode to Psyche, Ode to Nightingale are famous. Isabella, the Eve of Saint Agnes, Hyperion, Lamia, La Bella Dame Mercy. Characteristics of his literature: use of vivid imagery, sensuous appeal, escapism, love of past, supernatural elements, revealing of concept of beauty, and explaining philosophy through classical legends. These are characteristics of his literature. Various images are found in his poems. Sensuality is there. Then poet recalls the past. Poet is showing his escapism. Poet uses the supernatural elements in poems like La Bella Dame Mercy. You find a mention of fairy. So supernatural elements are used. He reveals concept of beauty. There are 2 quotations which are very famous. Things of beauty is joy forever, and beauty is truth, truth is beauty. These are famous quotation by Jhon Keats. The poem Bright Star is written by Jhon Keats, which is his last poem. It is sonnet. It has 14 lines. There are 2 stanzas. The first stanza is of 8 lines, which is called as octave. The second stanza is of 6 lines, which is called as sestet. This poem is Shakespearean sonnet. It has iambic pentameter, 5 poetic feet per line each, with unstressed and stressed syllable pattern, and rhyming scheme is ABAB. It is about beloved of Jhon Keats, Fanny Brown. The theme of the poem is passionate declaration of constant and unchanging love. Love towards beloved. Beloved is Fanny Brown. Various images are used in the poem. North Star, which is a symbol of constancy. Eremite means hermit, symbol of sacred and isolation. Snow, symbol of purity and innocence. Water, mountains. Then use of personification is also there. Metaphor, alliteration, these are figures of speech used in this poem. So come to the poem. Bright star, would I wear steadfast as thou art by Jhon Keats. We'll discuss line by line. The first 2 lines are: bright star, would I wear steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendor hung aloft the night. Bright star means north star. Then steadfast means constant. Lone means alone. Splendor means brighter. Aloft means up. Now come to the meaning part. Poet addresses these 8 lines in first stanza to the bright star, which is pole star. He says to this bright star that he wants to be like this pole star or bright star. What does he like about this bright star? He says that bright star is constant, fixed. Steadfast means fixed. And so I like you. Bright star, would I wear steadfast as the word? Means, can I become like you? Very constant. Then you have one hyphen after this first line. Thou means you, art means are. Okay, poet addresses to the bright star that can I become like you, as constant as like you? So the first line is like this. Hyphen. Not in lone splendor hung aloft the night. But I don't want to be like you, that you are alone and you are there away from all of us. And in the night you appear, in daytime. So in this way, in this poem, poet doesn't like these qualities of bright star, to be alone, hung very away from we people. Lone means alone, splendor, as I have told you, that brighter, but aloft means up. So in this way you have two lines, opening lines. Analysis of the poem of next two lines. And watching with eternal leads apart, like nature's patient sleepless eremite. Poet says that, bright star, you are watching with your eternal leads apart. Here poet compares the bright star with hermit. Hermit, eremite, the word is here used for hermit is eremite, sadhu, sage. So in this way, poet says that, bright star, you are like a hermit who is watching towards earth or nature very patiently, without sleep, with your eternal lids or eyelids, which are open. Apart means open. So with these two lines, poet wants to suggest that this bright star is eternal, and that bright star is very sacred, that is watching towards nature. That bright star is patient but sleepless, without that sleep. Next two lines. The moving waters at their priest-like task of pure ablution round earth's human shores. So poet here is traveling in one ship. He is going towards Italy. He wants to recover from TB. And in this situation, he is very sad. He wants to be eternal. He doesn't want to die. And even he wants his love. So in this situation, he expresses all these emotions. When he is in ship, he can see the water everywhere surrounding him. And he is watching that bright star simultaneously. So he thinks that the bright star is looking towards the water in the sea, and this water is performing one task, that is very sacred task, which is usually done by priest. Priest, you know that sometimes priest has some holy water, and with that holy water, that priest purifies people. So in this way, the moving water in the sea is doing the task of purification. How that purification is done by moving water, you know that in sea, that Water carries all that is not needed or that is hazardous for water. Everything that is left in the water to the shores, you know that. When you go to see the seashore, you find that the things like bottles or the plastic bags and coconuts, everything that if you throw all these things in sea, that comes back to the shore. So the water, moving water in the sea is doing the priest like task to what? To purify the water. And that water is even purifying the seashores, like human seashores. So this is the scenes that is experienced by the poet, and he says that North Star is watching all these movements from that lonely place. He is there in the sky, very alone. Or gazing on the new soft fallen mask of snow upon the mountain and the moors. See, in the first 8 lines, poet is addressing to the bright star. Poet says that, "Oh, bright star, are you gazing on the new mask fallen on these mountains?" To what he is calling this mask? The cover of snow is there on these mountains. And the poet is saying that the bright star is gazing towards this mask of what? Snow cover on the mountains. Gazing, staring, looking constantly. Mask cover. Mask of what? Mask of snow. When do you have this snow? In winter, of course. So this is again that mention of winter is there. And you know that in English poems, winter is specially showing sad mood of that speaker or the poet. So he is lonely, he is going to die. Winter is again the symbol of death. So mask is there of snow upon the mountain and the moors. Moors means a ground, specially covered with grass. So you have some meadows, suppose. On that also you find snow. So everywhere the snow is there. And that is also suggesting that approaching death of this poet. So poet says that, bright star, you are watching towards this earth and you are watching towards the mountains, covered with mountains and moors. Moors means ground. You know that, ground with grass. Remaining 6 lines in that, see, very changing tone of a poet. In the first 8 lines, poet wants to be like bright star. He wants to follow some qualities of bright star, and he doesn't like some of the qualities of bright star. Then he says that bright star is looking towards nature, bright star is gazing towards the mountain. Okay, bright star is looking towards the water moving in the sea and purifying the sea, something like that. But in remaining 6 lines, you find here that poet totally changes his tone, and he says that he wants the unchangeable and eternal love of his beloved Fanny Brown. No, yet still steadfast. See that remaining stanza or second stanza of the poem. No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable, pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast, to feel for ever its soft fall and swell, awake for ever in a sweet unrest, still, still to hear her tender taken breath, and so live ever or else soon to death. So he has conflict whether to live or whether to die, whether to live in the company of beloved. So in this way, he says that Now I want my beloved with me. I want her company. I want to rest on her breast. Especially being young, this beloved is very beautiful, and in that way, he wants to make her breast as pillow or rest on her breast as pillows. And he wants to feel the soft fall and swell while in, inhaling and exhaling. So on her breast he can find such type of that tender taken breath. He can hear that breath also. So in this way he wants to experience that embrace of his beloved. If he cannot get this love or beloved's company, he would like to die. In the last line he says, and so live ever. If I cannot live like this, I don't want to live, I want to die. So here some sensuality that comes, making pillow of breasts, especially that fair loves ripening breasts. So the mention of sensuality you find there. This is the end of the poem, where poet gives importance to the company of beloved. In the first stanza you find that poet wants to be that eternal person like bright star, but later on he prefers the company of his beloved. So there is conflict in his mind whether to make choice of eternity or the company of his beloved. There are some questions you can find answers. Whom does speaker addressing to? Obviously to the bright star. Answer is bright star. What are the images used in the poem? You know that bright star is used. Why bright star is used? Because that is constant. It doesn't move from one place to another. Dhruvatara. Then the second one is hermit. Poet uses metaphor hermit. Eremite. What does it signify? It shows sanctity, sacredness. It shows the capacity to purify others. So priest like water is there, purifying shores. So that is also one of the images. Then water is there, snow is there. Snow is a symbol of purity, innocence. And then you have that symbol of winter is there. Mountains are there, unachievable things are mentioned with this symbol. So many images are used in this poem. What is the conflict in the speaker's mind? Either to be with beloved or to have that eternity like bright star. It's conflict. So he wants to be eternal, but later on he thinks that it's better to be in the company of beloved. What are the major themes discussed in this poem? That constant love, passionate love is more better than the eternity is the theme. At the end of the poem, the speaker thinks that living in comfort and happiness of love and then dying will be similar to an eternal life, because when one loves, one lives eternally. So poet presents various themes in this poem. One of the themes is the human wish to have an eternal life. The poem gives expression to this longing. At the same time, it also states that human life is essentially temporary. Because he is going to die, he realizes the fact it cannot be eternal. So the quality of eternity brings with it the aspects of loneliness, then detachment, solitude. These are not the human qualities, because man is a social animal. We know that we want the company of our lovely, lovable people. The most valuable human quality is love. It is the essence of humanity. Keats, being a romantic poet, regards love as the highest virtue. So therefore the speaker in this poem though attracted by the eternity of the bright star, prefers to rest on his lover's side. The poet also shows admiration to nature. He admires the serenity of natural beauty, the sea, the snow covered mountain peaks. The central conflict in the speaker's mind is that he wants eternity, but that would mean stopping all changes. So, change is the natural aspect of life. Opposing change would mean opposing human life. Hence, the speaker comes to the understanding that one can experience eternity in this life through the true love only. So, you know that in this poem you find that poet gives importance to the love, that eternal love, not that eternity. Thank you. Thank you.